On my birthday, Bess sent me a video of boyfriend rolling in the sheets with his first. I coolly forwarded it to every last relative and friend of boyfriend, including his bedridden grandma. Then I blocked every form of contact and emptied the shared apartment of anything worth taking. 3 months later, he knelt outside my office sobbing for a second chance. I curled my arm through my new boyfriend's, flashed the diamond on my ring finger, and said, "Meet my fiancé." His eyes were bloodshot. "How could you move on so fast?" I smiled. "You made it possible, flash marriage, any complaints?" My phone vibrated, screen lighting with a WhatsApp thumbnail from Vivian. A blurry clip, yet the intertwined silhouettes were razor-sharp and sickeningly familiar. The caption was 3 words and a screaming exclamation. "Watch this!" My heart fell like a stone into an ice pit, then was scalded by boiling blood. My hovering finger trembled. "Today is my 26th birthday. Zane kissed my forehead this morning, promised dinner at my favorite place, a surprise waiting." I tapped play. Audio poured out first, ragged breathing and a woman's tear-choked whimper, "Zane, go slower." Then Zane's slurred, panting answer, "Baby, no one tops you." The camera shook, a sneaky angle, but clear enough. Enough for the birthmark I'd traced last night on the man's back. Enough for the innocent face I'd once found tucked in his wallet. His first, Sophie. The bed was in our shared bedroom, the lake blue curtains I chose hung half-drawn, light spilling across the ugly birthday doll he'd given me. 37 seconds. I watched 3 times. First viewing, confirmation. Second, memorizing details. Third, the last ridiculous shred of hope shriveled and died. Breath suspended, or maybe racing. My ears rang, the black end screen mirrored my face, blank, eyes wide and empty. The phone rang, Vivian. I inhaled. "Hello, Aurora, did you see it? That bastard Zane. Animal. Casey." Vivian's voice sliced the quiet, trembling with fury. "I came to drop off your birthday report, saw Sophie sneaking upstairs, followed, door was ajar. I couldn't stand it, had to record." "Aurora? Say something. Don't scare me. I'm fine." My own tone sounded eerily level, almost cold. "Vivian, send the original, resolution high enough? His grandma's eyes are bad, she'll need clarity." A beat of stunned silence. "Aurora, what are you planning?" "Celebrating," I said, tugging my lips into what might have been a smile except every muscle felt stiff. "Delivering a gift." I hung up, sat motionless on the couch. Afternoon light slanted across the half-empty coffee table where, last night, Zane had promised me a bigger house, 2 kids, boy and girl, eyes sparkling like bottled stars. Now I knew another woman's reflection had glittered in that shine all along. A raw ache started, numb, then sharp. Oddly, no tears, rage burned them dry, leaving icy, razor clarity. I opened my contacts, Zane's clan group, his parents, the older who daily flaunted her perfect son-in-law, assorted aunts and uncles, and the grandma who adored him from her sickbed. I sorted every name, drafted a line, "Birthday surprise from Zane, dedicated to Morgan. Filmed today 3:10 p.m. in our bedroom. Enjoy." I attached the original clip, scrolled the recipient list to the bottom, spared no one, tapped send. My fingertip was ice, yet a scorching flare leapt in my chest. Silence, then the phone erupted. Notifications and ringtones exploded like popcorn. Cameron, Sam, Jordan flashed across the screen. I flipped the phone face down, muted. Silence reclaimed the room. I rose and stepped into the bedroom, our lake blue curtains, hideous doll, sheets still rumpled and stinking of sugary rot. I dragged out the biggest suitcase, packed every garment, serum, lipstick, laptop, tablet, even cheap silver chains, nothing of mine would remain. I boxed my textbooks, the espresso machine I paid for, balcony succulents wrapped in newspaper. He'd splurged on Sophie, not furniture, easy logistics. While I worked, the family group chat convulsed on the locked screen. "Zane, explain, is that you?" "Sam, shame. Get home now, who's that girl?" "Cameron, Zane, grandma can't breathe." "Answer us." "Aunt, at Aurora's sweetheart, we failed you, we're sorry." Cameron plus crying emojis. At Aurora, it must be a misunderstanding, let him clarify. Jordan, misunderstanding my ass, kudos, sis, ditch that trash. Indignant cousin, I swiped notifications away. Misunderstanding? 37 HD seconds, full frontal, what doubt remained? Last sweep, nothing mine left, not even my half-used toothpaste. I swapped in a fresh SIM I'd bought ages ago, snapped the old one, tossed the shards. New number, new WhatsApp, only Vivian and a handful of real friends invited. Zane and his circus sank with the dead SIM, the clip, and the corpse of us. Wheeling the suitcase, I gave the apartment a final glance. No nostalgia, just hollow relief and a cold breeze through the new hole in my chest. The door clicked shut behind me, severing everything. 3 months can settle silt or ferment poison. I switched jobs, rented a studio across town, adopted a cat on the 15th, named him 15. Days filled with pitches, meetings, new recipes, watching him chase his tail. Vivian delivered Alex reports, Zane's home in uproar, Grandma worse, Sam threatening to break his legs, Sophie long gone, his agency sidelining him, picture of ruin. Serves him right, she always finished. I listened, pulse steady. Hate? Maybe at first, but hate is expensive. I preferred investing in strategies and stir-fries. Then one afternoon receptionist buzzed, voice tight, Emery, a guy downstairs claims he's her. Looks awful, won't leave, security's checking. My stomach lurched. Zane. Predictable, finally. I saved my files and grabbed my bag. I'll handle it, Riley. I stepped out of the elevator and spotted him in the lobby. Almost unrecognizable, Jamie, hollow-cheeked, shirt creased like it had slept in alleys, reeking of desperation. He saw me and lit up like driftwood catching fire, lurching forward. Aurora! Finally! His voice cracked, arms reaching. I stepped back, security slipped between us. Aurora, listen, it was Sophie, she seduced me, I was drunk, I lost my head, you're all I want. Tears and snot streaked his babbling. These months I've been dying, family disowned me, jobs gone. I'm begging, one more chance, let's start over, please. He sagged, nearly kneeling, security hauled him upright while whispers fluttered through the foyer. I stared, unmoved. Explanations? Now? After that worldwide premiere? A warm hand settled on my shoulder, cedar musk wrapping me. Problem, Aurora? Low, calm, just loud enough. Julian stood beside me in steel gray tailoring, eyes flicking from my face to the wreck of Zane. Zane's plea dried, gaze darting to Julian's hand, blood draining from his last scrap of pride. Julian ignored him, tone gentle. You finished? We've got rings to try on, then dinner with Dad. Dad, oh, game on. The tension inside me melted into wicked delight. I leaned into Julian, lifting my left hand so the tiny rhinestone ring I'd unearthed this morning flashed under the chandeliers. Almost. Ellis here wanted a word. Zane, my her, meet Julian, my fiancé. On. Fiancé? Zane's voice sounded as if it had been forced through a shredder, dry and cracked. He stared at Julian, then whipped his gaze to me, disbelief, shock, and a sense of betrayal blazing in his eyes. Aurora! How could you? It's only been 3 months and you've already found someone else, and you're engaged. Have you any idea what our 3 years meant? He seemed to have forgotten why he'd come, forgotten the 37-second video, forgotten the tears and apologies he'd been choking on moments ago. All that was left was the fury of the betrayed, propping up his bloodshot eyes. I laughed. A real laugh, soft as it was. The hand curled around Julian's arm tightened, feeling the steady strength in his muscles. Thanks to you, Zane. I looked straight at him, every word sharp and clear. Flash marriage. Problem? The rage on Zane's face froze, then shattered into something darker, ash-gray despair. His mouth opened, but no sound came. He simply stared at me, at Julian, at our linked arms, at the wedding ring sparkling on my finger. Only then did Julian seem to notice him. He gave a polite, distant nod. Ellis, pleasure. Looks like you and Aurora still have things to say, but sorry, we're in a rush. He steered me toward the elevator. Halfway there he paused, glanced back, and added in the same flat tone, though it carried absolute authority, also, kindly stop bothering my fiancé in the future. She's soft-hearted and nostalgic, I'm not. I'm protective, and I hate trouble. Without another look he guided me into the lift. Behind us Zane lunged, only to be pinned by security. His stifled, broken sob followed us until the door sliced it off. The elevator climbed. Inside the narrow car it was just Julian and me. The bravado I'd clung to leaked away. I leaned against the cool wall and exhaled, only then realizing my palms were damp. Riley, I murmured without looking at him. I owe you again. Julian slipped the hand that had been around my waist back into his trouser pocket, relaxed once more. He tilted his head, a half-smile playing at his lips. Thank me? A fiancé rescuing his fiancée, doesn't that come with the job description? The way he said fiancé warmed my ears. I shot him a glare. Fake fiancé. Don't overact, Mr. Voss. Nice ring. His eyes dropped to my left hand, evaluating. Bit small, though. Next time we'll get a bigger one, more convincing. Instinctively I curled my fingers, hiding the paltry little rhinestone. Temporary prop. It'll do. I hesitated, then asked, how did you happen to be downstairs, Dylan? He answered lightly. Vivian messaged me, said there might be a show. Figures. Vivian, the gossip queen who acts on every tip. The doors opened on the garage level. He stepped out first, then glanced back when I didn't follow. Coming? Or do you actually want to try on wedding rings? I hurried after him. Who said I want to try rings with you? Then how long, he drawled, do you plan to keep wearing that one? Souvenir of victory? I was rendered speechless. I strode to my little hatchback, unlocked it, yanked the door open. None of your business. He stood beside the sleek black sedan a few spaces away, keys dangling, watching me across the roof lines. Aurora. I froze, hand on the door. There are many ways to deal with scum, he said, voice low but clear in the empty garage. Public humiliation is the most direct, but not necessarily the most effective. A beat. Still, if it made you happy, I'm happy enough today. I noticed. A faint smile. Next time you need a fiancé on call, book early. My appearance fee is steep. I slammed the door and started the engine. In the rearview he remained where he was, watching me leave. Garage lights carved his silhouette, tall, straight. I merged into the evening traffic, window cracked to let in cool air. My phone buzzed, Vivian on WhatsApp. Well? Did the big boss descend like a god? Did Avery turn green? Spill everything. I grinned and typed back, green. Divine. Thanks. Seconds later, anytime, sis. But seriously, Julian's always there when you need him, coincidence much? I didn't reply, tossing the phone onto the passenger seat. Interested? Julian, a friend of my boss. We'd met at an industry gala, worked together on a few projects since. He'd helped me more than once, cool on the surface, unexpectedly dependable underneath. Anything beyond that? I shook my head. I just crawled out of one pit, no need to test whether a ladder had suddenly appeared. Even if it had, I'd check its footing first. Still, the instant he'd shown up today, a tight, trembling corner of my heart had settled, quiet and secure. The next few days were calm. Zane didn't resurface, rumor had it his family had shipped him off to rest. Good, out of sight, out of mind. Work stayed hectic. The new product campaign I was leading hit crunch time, I pulled consecutive late nights. Friday, almost 10, I finally rolled my stiff shoulders and left the building. The night wind carried a chill. I stepped to the curb to call a ride when a black sedan glided up. The window lowered, revealing Julian's unreadable profile. "Get in," he said. I blinked. "Mr. Voss? Why are you on the way?" he cut in, tone decisive. "Hard to get a cab here this late." I checked the empty street, then him. After the long day, I was too tired to argue. 2 seconds later, I slid into the passenger seat. The cabin smelled faintly of pine and cedar, his scent soothing. I buckled up and gave my address. He said nothing, just eased into traffic. Silence filled the ride, only mellow jazz drifting from the speakers. I leaned back, fatigue washed over me, eyelids heavy. At a red light, he asked, "Eat dinner?" I came to. Ordered takeout, ate. "Ramen or salad?" He hit the nail on the head, ramen. I flushed. "Ramen. Convenient." He said no more. Green light. We glided forward. A minute later, project smooth? Not bad. Final push to Rowan. Seen the rival deck? My drowsiness vanished. The competing deck he mentioned was still confidential. I'd gotten a leaked copy only that afternoon. Bits of it. Focus on page 3's pricing and page 7's channel breakdown. Weak spots. I stared. How did he know page numbers? He went on, "Their VP tried to poach one of my teams last month." "Riley," I said, and this time I meant it. That intel was gold. "Don't mention it." A pause. A brain fueled by ramen won't craft a winning pitch. I had no comeback. He stopped at my building. I unclicked the belt. "Riley for the ride, Mr. Voss." "And Quinn, MM." He kept his eyes ahead. "Go on up." I climbed out, walked 2 steps, turned back. "How'd you know I'd be working this late?" His fingers drummed the wheel. Finally he met my gaze. "Vivian. Said you'd gone full workaholic and might drop dead. Asked me to keep an eye out." Her again. I didn't know whether to laugh or scream. A tiny curve appeared at the corner of his mouth, gone in an instant. Later, the window rose, the sedan melted into the dark. I stood until the taillights vanished, a warm afterglow pulsing in me. Rowan went flawlessly. Using Julian's tip, I punched holes in the rival plan. The client loved it. Afterward, team slapped my shoulder, beaming. "Emery, brilliant. Drinks tonight, no excuses." The celebration ran late. A few cocktails left me lightheaded. I splashed water on my face in the restroom. Rounding the corridor, I almost collided with someone. "Careful." He steadied me. I looked up. Julian. He'd evidently had his own dinner here. Jacket folded over his arm, tie loosened, alcohol and his own clean scent mingling. "Mr. Voss." I regained balance, surprised. "Celebrating?" His gaze rested on my flushed cheeks. "Proposal approved. Congratulations." A pause. "Been drinking?" "A little." "No more," he said. "I'll have my driver take you home." "Not necessary, I'll call a ride." "On the way." The familiar 2-word veto. He already had his phone out. I studied his profile, corridor light softening its hard lines. Alcohol slowed my brain. The question slipped out, "Julian." His thumb paused. He lifted his eyes. "Why do you keep helping me?" It had circled my mind for weeks. He was silent a beat, distant revelry humming in the background. Then, pocketing the phone, he met my gaze, depthless pools with something smoldering beneath. "What do you think?" he countered. My pulse skipped. Booze and atmosphere tangled my thoughts. "Because of Vivian?" He gave a faint laugh and shook his head. "Vivian doesn't carry that much weight." Then, he stepped closer, distance evaporated. Woodsy cologne and a whisper of whiskey filled my senses. He dipped his head, voice pitched for me alone. Aurora, I don't do good deeds. A pause, eyes locked on mine. Unless the deed concerns me. My heart thumped. Why did I play your fiancé? He went on, low, hypnotic, maybe liquor honest. Why do I keep showing up? Why ask if you had ramen or salad? I parted my lips, speechless, blood rushing in my ears. He leaned nearer, breath brushing my burning ear. Because I realized, he said, each word striking like a bell, watching you gut that scumbag was entertaining, watching you burn midnight oil felt wrong, and watching you flash a fake ring. His gaze dropped to my clenched fist, bare tonight. I hadn't worn the little rhinestone. He straightened, putting a sliver of space between us, features sliding back into aloofness, though embers still glowed in his eyes. Forget it. He sounded as if he were talking to himself, yet also speaking to me. Saying this now, you'll probably think I'm taking advantage of you while you're vulnerable, or just drunk talking. He took out his phone and actually dialed this time. Wolchin, wait at the entrance. After hanging up, he glanced at me. The driver's here. Come on, I'll take you home. I moved like a puppet following strings, trailing him outside. Silence the whole way. Only after I slid into the car, neon streaking past the window in rivers of color, did I find my voice soft, uncertain. What you just said. Forget it. He cut me off, leaned back, eyes closed, tone tired and resigned. When you're sober, we'll talk. The car fell silent again, but something had already changed. The air crackled with wordless tension and the lingering heat of everything he hadn't finished saying. He pulled up at my building and said nothing more, just dipped his head in a nod. I stepped out, watching the taillights disappear. Night wind brushed my face, cool, yet unable to calm the restless turmoil inside. What did he mean? The next few days I avoided Julian. Work messages stayed clipped and professional. On his end everything seemed normal, as if that night's conversation had never happened. But Vivian wouldn't let it go. With radar precision she sensed gossip in my distracted state. Something's up with you and the big boss, she barged into my apartment and demanded. The night he drove you home you turned weird. Spill, did something scandalous happen? Cornered and scrambled, I gave her the gist of what Julian had said. Taylor's eyes went round. She stayed quiet a full 10 seconds. Then she slapped her thigh. Damn, Julian played that straight, pure boss move, so hot. I rolled my eyes. Whose side are you on? Yours, obviously. Vivian scooted closer, vibrating excitement. But think about it, Julian's always treated you different. Every time Zane the scumbag hurt you, Julian showed up exactly when you needed him. Sure, he keeps a stone face and says irritating things, but everything he does protects you. I pressed my lips shut and said nothing. Plus, she went on, Julian's a total catch, face, fortune, top-shelf skills. Groupies would line up to the Riviera. If he wanted a fling he could snap his fingers. Yet he fake fiancé'd you, drove you home, fixed your work issues, even nagged you about ramen. If that's not serious, I'll flip my last name upside down. But, I hesitated. I just crawled out of a dumpster fire. I'm scared. Scared of getting burned again? Vivian gripped my hand, suddenly solemn. Aurora, Zane is human trash, not the entire male population. You can't swear off shoes forever because you once stepped in dog crap. Julian and Zane live on different planets. Give yourself a chance, and give Julian one. She paused. I'm not saying jump in head first. Watch, test, take it slow. Just don't slam the door on every maybe because you're afraid. The other night when he said wait till you're sober, he was handing you space and time. The guy actually respects you. Her words tapped at the armor I'd built around my heart. Can I really believe again? A few days later the firm attended an industry summit. Both Julian and I were on the guest list. The hall was packed. I was chatting with peers when I glanced back and spotted Julian ringed by executives. He stood tall, profile sharp, every gesture radiating effortless control. As if feeling my stare, he turned, his gaze cut through the crowd and landed squarely on me. Our eyes locked. His were calm, unreadable. My heart skipped. I almost looked away, but instead I lifted the corners of my mouth in a tiny greeting. He blinked, a faint flicker of amusement surfacing, and dipped his chin before turning back to his circle. Just a second of eye contact, yet it melted an invisible barrier. After the summit came the gala dinner. I slipped onto a quiet terrace for air. Footsteps followed, no need to look. I already knew his scent. Hiding from the noise? Julian asked, leaning on the rail beside me, eyes on the city lights. Inside was too loud, I murmured. A mild early summer breeze drifted between us. We stood side by side, silence comfortable. After a while he spoke, voice clear in the night. What I said that evening, I meant it. My fingers curled. I didn't look over. Which part? Every word. He turned his head toward me. Moon and city light pooled in his eyes. Especially the last line. My pulse quickened. Which last line? I asked, intentionally dense, mouth dry. He pivoted to face me, distance polite yet close enough for me to see every earnest line on his face. I said, watching you flash a fake ring around. His gaze flicked to my now bare finger, then back to my eyes, word by deliberate word. It bothered me. Another measured pause, letting the statement sink in. So I thought, he continued, slow, certain, maybe I should replace it with a real one. My breath hitched, I met his stare. No teasing, no testing, only depthless, waiting sea. Evening breeze lifted the hair from his forehead, bearing solemn eyes. This isn't compensation, not opportunism, not impulse, he said, low and distinct. Aurora, I'm stone cold serious, asking your opinion. He leaned slightly closer, voice softening, each syllable striking my heart. Will you give me the chance to stand beside you, openly? Not a fake fiancé, but... He left the sentence unfinished, but the meaning rang crystal. Above us the sky stretched wide, scattered stars over a river of city lights. On the terrace it was only us, wind slipping past like a gentle messenger. I studied him, this man who always appeared when I needed him most, aloof yet meticulous, now offering a future with steady hands. The ice encasing my heart cracked with a clear, bell-like sound. I didn't answer in words. Instead I lifted my hand and rested it lightly over his where it braced the railing. His skin was warm, palm lightly calloused. He stilled, then turned his hand upward, folding my fingers inside his, firm but gentle. Still watching the lights, I felt a real, unforced smile curve my lips. Julian, I said softly, a tiny smile in my voice, next time you Dylan past my building, give me a heads up. His grip tightened, a low laugh drifted on the breeze past my ear. Deal, he answered, single word, but it carried the weight of a promise. I knew then the story was only beginning. From a messy ending to a warm start, cradled in a clasped hand, Julian's quiet deal, like his palm, held steady warmth and undeniable certainty. Neither of us uttered let's try or we're together. Some things, understood without announcement, weigh more than declarations. The terrace wind kept blowing, distant city hum blurred into background. My hands stayed in his, neither of us let go first. It's almost wrapped up inside, he said, glancing at me. I'll drive you? I nodded, then added, I drove myself today. B2? He asked, brows lifting. Yep, I'll walk you down. He Tessa, hand sliding to the small of my back in a courteous, not overly intimate gesture. Let's go. We threaded back through thinning crowds to the elevator. I felt curious glances trail us, Julian's a known quantity, and after Zane's spectacle I suppose I'm half famous too. A pairing like ours invites speculation. Either oblivious or indifferent, Julian kept an even pace, jaw set in polite detachment, while the light pressure at my back silently staked a claim. Inside the descending car it was just us and soft mechanical hum. Has Zayn bothered you since? He asked suddenly. I shook my head. Vivian says his family shipped him out. His tone stayed flat. He got off easy. I shot him a look. Julian rarely shows personal bias that plainly. Noticing, he met my gaze, mouth twitching. Surprised I'd say that? A little. Some people don't deserve manners, he murmured, eyes returning to the blinking floor numbers. Especially those who hurt you. Warmth blossomed in my chest. I said nothing. He pulled up at my building. As I unbuckled, he spoke. I'm hosting a private reception next weekend. Interested? I paused, meeting his calm, inviting gaze, pressure-free. What kind? Celine, friends, partners, half business, half relaxed, he explained. Good networking, expand your circle. I understood. The invitation was also a gesture, sliding me into his social orbit, presenting me to people who mattered. Practical, thoughtful. All right, I said without much hesitation. Need me to bring anything? Just you. A beat. Dress, if you need help my assistant can arrange. I've got it, I smiled, still armed with that much confidence. Then Adelaide, he nodded. I stepped onto the curb and watched his car glide away. No chaos this time, no racing heart, just solid ground under my feet, and the quiet certainty that next weekend the river of city lights would see us arrive together. The weekend arrived quickly. The cocktail party was held at a private estate club with excellent security. I chose a sharply tailored black gown and did my makeup with understated polish. When I arrived, a valet was already waiting to guide me in. Inside, crystal chandeliers blazed, casting light on a small but unmistakably weighty crowd. Julian was conversing with a cluster of investors. The moment he saw me, his gaze locked on. He inclined his head to his companions and came straight over. Tonight he wore a deep navy suit cut more casually, no tie, the first button of his shirt open, less austere, more approachable. He stopped in front of me, let his eyes rest on me for a beat, and nodded slightly. Beautiful, Riley. I smiled. He offered his arm, I slipped my hand through. He led me back to the group he'd just left. Ingrid, Celeste, this is my friend Aurora. The introduction was spare, no titles, but the word friend, delivered in his calm baritone while I hung on his arm, carried its own gravitas. They were seasoned sharks, their smiles warmed instantly as they greeted me, cordial and perfectly measured. After a few minutes of industry small talk, Julian steered me to the next cluster. He didn't overintroduce, yet each brief mention was a quiet endorsement. I felt the weight of glances, curiosity, appraisal, calculation, then, almost instantly, friendlier nods and easy acceptance. The party stayed relaxed. Midway through I stepped onto the terrace for air. I'd barely halted when a voice I recognized, and now found grating, sliced through the night. Well, if it isn't Aurora? I turned. Sophie. She wore a shock pink bandage dress, makeup flawless, but her eyes were sharp with exhaustion and spite. Her gaze raked me, snagging on the understated white gold bracelet Julian had coincidentally given me, its diamonds glinting even in the low light. Quite the climb, she smirked, voice syrupy. Just kicked Zayn to the curb and already perched on a higher branch. How'd you wangle an invite to Julian's inner sanctum, bedroom credentials? I studied her calmly. The bravado trembled at the edges, beneath it lurked panic and envy. Looked like Zayn's crash had knocked the wind out of her own sail. The big brother she'd banked on, along with the perks, had vanished. Colette, I said mildly, something on your mind? Can't two old friends chat? She stepped closer, voice lowered but venomous. You're ruthless, Aurora. One video crushed him and me. Happy now? I gave a soft laugh. Happy? Hardly. Taking out the trash doesn't exactly thrill me. Her face flushed. You. As for how I got in, I cut in, glancing at her plunging neckline. Unlike some, I didn't need backstage antics. I'm Mr. Voss's invited guest. Want to double check with him? Leona's cheeks mottled red and white. She dared snarl at me, but confronting Julian? She knew better than I did what kind of enemy he could be. Aurora, don't celebrate too soon, she hissed. Zane's finished, sure, but Julian will tire of you. Once the novelty fades, you'll be worse off than me. Oh. I tilted my head, pretending to ponder. Thanks for the concern, Colette. But right now the one he's introducing to his circle is me, not the bitter gatecrasher. She sputtered, hand shooting up to point. Colette. The word was low, glacial. Julian appeared at my side, eyes on her raised finger. The temperature seemed to drop 10 degrees. Her arm froze, then wilted. Mr. Voss, she stammered, instantly fragile. I was just catching up with Miss Sterling, nothing else. Catching up? He echoed, flat. Are we close? I answered, just as flat. Julian gave a curt nod, already dismissing her. Ingrid wants another take on that marketing pitch. Ready? Sure. He didn't offer his arm this time. He laced his fingers through mine and walked me off the terrace, leaving Sophie white-faced in the shadows. He kept that firm grip all the way back to the crowd. Near midnight, Julian saw me out. The night air carried a cool salt tang from the harbor. Don't let Sophie get to you, he said suddenly. She didn't, I replied honestly. Her venom didn't compare to 37 seconds of viral footage. She won't appear in front of you again, he added, tone casual. I paused. What did you do, little thing? He opened the car door. Told the invite staff to vet better. Also, the trust fund kid she's clinging to? His family happens to want a word with me about a deal. In short, her latest meal ticket was about to be cancelled, and her name quietly removed from every future guest list, far deadlier than a public slapdown. I slid into the leather seat, no sympathy stirring, only a calm finality. We reap what we sow. As the car rolled away, he spoke again. Aurora. I'm flying to Europe Monday, 10 days. Merger needs me there. Okay. A faint, unexpected pang flickered. I'd already grown used to having him around. There's a small auction, he continued. Saw a ruby bracelet in the catalog, looks good on you. I'll have someone bid? No need. I refused instinctively, the price would be astronomical. No trouble. He shrugged. If you like it, it's worth it. I exhaled. Julian, we're not there yet. He flicked a swift glance at me, eyes amused. Where? The place where a boyfriend gifts his girlfriend? I opened my mouth, then shut it. I'm already there, he declared. If you think it's fast, keep it boxed until you catch up. His fingers drummed the wheel. Or consider it a down payment on an engagement ring. My heart lurched, heat flooded my ears. Julian, yes? Innocent, though his mouth curved. Eyes on the road. I turned to hide my flush, pulse racing, strangely soothed rather than panicked. The following days he was gone. No flood of texts, no clingy calls, just one nightly line. Landed. / in meetings. / good night. I replied in kind, adult romance, each with our own orbit, yet tethered. Vivian, of course, pestered me daily. Did the tycoon video call you? Say he missed you? Courier you presents? I finally groaned. Vivian, don't you work? I'm invested in your happiness. Nothing major, I insisted. Mira snorted. With Mr. Action Man? He's plotting something big, just wait. Friday afternoon, day 10, my phone buzzed during a team meeting, 7:00 p.m. Skycliff restaurant, table booked. Skycliff, the skyline spot everyone fought to get into. I typed back, see you then. Before leaving the office I refreshed my lipstick. The mirror showed bright eyes and relaxed confidence, the post-sane pallor long gone. I arrived exactly at 7. The maitre d' guided me to a corner table kissing the glass. Julian was already there, crisp white shirt, black trousers, city lights glittering behind him. When he spotted me, that effortless half-smile curved his lips. Traffic bad? He stood, pulling out my chair. Bearable. Dinner was exquisite, conversation easy, work, travel, normal couple getting to know you talk. But I knew the main event was still coming. Coffee and dessert arrived. He set his fork down, wiped his mouth, looked at me. Aurora. Yes? I placed my spoon beside the plate. From inside his jacket he drew a small navy velvet box, square, not ring-sized. My heartbeat skipped. He slid it toward me. Open. Inside lay no ruby bracelet, just a key. Old brass, ornate filigree. Beneath it, a folded card. I lifted the key, cool, heavy, and opened the card. One line in his angular script. 18, Maple Ridge Road, South Hills. An arrow pointed to the flip side. I turned it over. Your studio. Quiet view, 20 minutes from my office. First installment of bride price. I stared, speechless. Julian, hear me out. His gaze held mine. You've always wanted your own space, pick projects you like, free of diva clients. I checked it out, standalone house, small yard, clean deed. Bought it. He said it the way someone might order latte. This isn't charity, and it's not about keeping you. His tone turned dead serious. Aurora, I admire your talent and I respect your independence. This is simply a platform, one that lets you stretch your wings exactly the way you want. You can treat it as an investment. I'm the investor, you're the sole project lead. If we profit, we split it. If we lose, the loss is mine. He paused, then added, of course, if it really bothers you, think of it as an advance on our future community property. Sooner or later, it would have been yours anyway. That last line came out fast, his gaze skittered toward the window, the tips of his ears flushing almost imperceptibly. My heart convulsed, shock, gratitude, helplessness, a flood tide that threatened to drown me. This key weighed more than any jewel. It wasn't about money, it was understanding, backing. The moment he turned my lifelong dream solid and set it squarely in my hands. He saw me, not only the wounds that needed shelter, but the talent, the ambition, the sky I ached to fly across. Julian. My throat tightened, I didn't know what to say. Don't rush to feel touched, and don't rush to refuse. He drew his eyes back to mine, tiny flecks of light dancing in them. The betrothal gifts don't stop at this. From his pocket he produced another box, standard velvet, ring-sized. My heart skipped an entire beat. He flipped it open. No ostentatious rock, instead, an exquisite ring with a modest but perfectly cut center diamond that scattered fire, circled by tiny sapphires, like courtiers around a queen, like the quietest, deepest galaxy. He lifted the ring but never dropped to one knee. Grand gestures aren't his style. He simply rested it on his palm and held it out. Soft restaurant light fractured off the stone in heart-stopping sparks. This, his voice low, every word distinct, is the formal one. He met my gaze, eyes deep as oceans, rolling with naked earnestness, expectation, and a rare tremor of anxiety. Aurora, I know it's fast, but time isn't how I measure feelings. One look convinced me, the rest of my life is for proving it. I won't pretty talk. I can only promise, with me, you'll never be wronged again. Your dreams have my backing, your back has my shield. I'll be your staunchest ally and your most devoted lover. He swallowed, Adam's apple sliding. So, will you? Not let's try, not we'll see, but marry me. Be Mrs. Voss. Let me care for you out in the open, every day that's left to us. The world froze. The cities glitter beyond the glass, the muted music, distant laughter, all blurred into static. My universe shrank to him, to the ring blazing on his palm, to the vast, sincere constellations in his eyes. No hesitation, no fear, barely a thought. The answer blazed inside me like daybreak. I reached out, my fingers trembled with emotion yet never wavered. Yes. Soft and absolute. The tension in Julian's gaze melted into radiant relief and something gentler still. He caught my hand and slid the ring onto my fourth finger, perfect fit. Cool metal and stone met my skin, yet warmth flooded every vein, as though a boat adrift for years had finally found its harbor. He bent and pressed a reverent kiss to the back of my newly ringed hand, warm, cherished. When he looked up, starlight filled his eyes. "Mrs. Voss," he murmured, mouth curving in a satisfied, almost boyish grin. "Guide me through the rest of our lives." I laced our fingers, the ring pressed between our palms, real and undeniable. "Mr. Voss," I answered through a dazzling, tear-blurred smile, likewise. Beyond the glass, Harbor Bridge's neon sea bore witness, an ending born in squalid betrayal had transformed, at last, into blazing rebirth. Yet trash, once bagged, sometimes claws for one last useless struggle. Not long after Julian and I went public, a long-silenced number began hammering both our phones. Zane, hearing rumors of Aurora's engagement. We let each call die unanswered. He flooded us with WhatsApp requests, pleading, then cursing, finally shrieking threats. "Aurora, you can't do this. I'm sorry, come back." What's Julian but a hypocrite? He's played more women than I have. Gold digger. You acted so high and mighty with me. Curse you both, I'll bring you down. A cornered rat bites. Some messages Julian saw, some I blocked. His response was simple: call Zane's half-dead employer, already on life support from scandal and Julian's behind-the-scenes pressure, and Zane's mortified parents. The harassment stopped. We assumed the curtain had fallen, filth couldn't float. Until an ordinary Saturday. We just left my soon-to-be studio at 18, Maple Ridge Road in the South Hills, and were winding down the secluded lane onto a busier feeder road when a battered silver van roared out of a side street, no signal, no heed, straight at our hood. Julian's eyes iced over, he wrenched the wheel and hammered the brakes. High-performance tires screamed, carving a hairbreadth dodge, but the van still sheared along our right flank with a metallic shriek. The impact threw us sideways, airbags exploded. "Aurora!" Julian snapped off his belt, leaning over. "Hurt?" I shook my head, winded, seatbelt welts, nothing bleeding. "You?" "I'm fine." Face grim, he glanced outside. The van had lurched to a stop, its front caved. The driver's door flew open and Zane stumbled out, gaunt, hollow-eyed, pupils shot with red, swinging a rust-pitted iron bar. He locked on our car, slashing the air, and charged. "Stay inside, lock the doors," Julian ordered, already out and slamming the door. "Julian!" I lunged too late. Zane howled at the sight of him and swung the bar in a murderous arc. "Thief! You stole her, ruined me, die." Julian sidestepped coolly, the bar rang off the bodywork. Overextended, Zane staggered. Julian snapped a kick into the back of his knee. Zane screamed and dropped. Before he could rise, Julian seized his wrist, twisted, crack, and the bar clattered away. In the same fluid motion he yanked the arm behind Zane's back and slammed his face against our scraped door. "Zane," Julian said, voice low, arctic, each word a hammer. "I gave you a way out, you spat on it." Pressed to the metal, Zane gargled curses. "Julian, you bastard, Aurora's a..." Julian pressed harder, curses turned to strangled gasps. "Seems losing your job and your family leash was too light," he hissed near Zane's ear. "Forgot the 20 grand you skimmed through fake expense reports? I've kept the files, neat and complete." Zane went rigid, terror flooding his eyes. "Didn't act before because dirt disgusts me, and I wanted peace for Aurora. Now you've volunteered." He straightened and Tessa. Zane slumped, clutching his limp wrist, dread replacing madness. Julian dialed. "Sergeant, Julian. Feeder off South Hill, Maple Ridge exit, reckless driving, assault with a weapon. Suspect restrained. Also suspected embezzlement, evidence on its way." He pocketed the phone and opened my door. "Scared?" he asked softly, contrite. I squeezed his warm, steady hand. As long as you're safe. Sirens closed in. Police cuffed Zane and let him off. He twisted for one last look, venom, regret, despair, before defeat hollowed him completely. The diamond on my finger flashed under emergency lights, final as a verdict. This was the epilogue he'd written for himself. Assault, embezzlement, total ruin awaited him. Julian tucked me against his shoulder and walked me from the wreckage. Insurance agents and traffic officers arrived. His assistant sped up the hill. Home? He murmured. Yes. I leaned into him, the last shadow of my past evaporating. The car was drivable. From the passenger seat I watched the city blur and glanced at the man at the wheel, calm, focused, mine. Julian. Riley you. For what? Riley you, for showing me how it feels to be chosen, guarded, without a shred of doubt. He lifted my hand from the console, thumb grazing the ring. You'll have a lifetime, he said, eyes on the road, profile gentle, to get used to that feeling. I smiled, tightening my fingers through his. Thanks for listening to today's story. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate it? If you enjoyed this video, please like and share it with friends. We look forward to your comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more gripping tales. See you next time.